Well, hey friends, and welcome back to a brand new series of Braveheart Talks. And over the next coming weeks, we're going to be delving in and looking into some of the female characters out the Bible and how they relate to us in our life today. You know, as women, we don't always talk about or express what's going on the inside of us, do we? We just get on with it. We suffer in silence because no matter what you're going through, the family still needs feeding, the children need caring, the dog needs walking, the husband needs loving. And that's before we get round to doing the shopping, the cooking and the ironing and leaving very little time for yourself. We go through some of the most challenging struggles and weather the greatest storms, and often no one really knows just how it affected you or it changed you. And it's often following these times that we're left wondering what to do with the now broken fragments of our life. And we begin removing around these remaining pieces, so to speak, trying to slot them together like a jigsaw so we can make some sense of the bigger picture of our life. But it's only then when you realize broken edges don't fit together quite like intended edges do. So in order to rebuild your life into a beautiful picture that you actually want to live in, then we first have to lose some of the rough areas, some of the rough edges from the areas we've been broken in. So during the next few weeks of this podcast, She Is Me, I want to take you backwards in order to propel you forwards. We're going to go back thousands of years and explore some of the ancient women depicted in the Bible. Their life placement may be different to ours. Their culture may be different to ours. The way they ate is different. The way they dressed was different. But their feelings and emotions were exactly the same, because no matter what age or stage or period of time a woman is born into, she is still woman through and through. And every woman knows what it is to have her head doing circles while her body's doing cycles. She knows what it is to be premenstrual, postnatal, menopausal, and feeling downright awful. And along with these natural rhythms of life come a barrage of unforeseen, unpredicted problems in life also. And so as I've studied the Word of God, there are many stories and similarities that I see in my own life. So many accounts of women that I've read about who have loved and lost, been hurt, pulled down, rejected, and yet got up and gone again. They kept on going despite their pain. They faced disappointment, discouragement, dealt with envy and loss of identity. And as I've read through their stories, I've whispered to myself, wow, she is me. So as we journey through our years, we can often find the landscape of our life changes. It has hidden landmines of emotions set within it, and these are triggered by the unforeseen circumstances that are often out of our control. And when a landmine of emotion detonates in you, it does lasting damage to your self-esteem, to your character, and to your identity. So I invite you to come on a journey with me. Let's have a look at how she did it. How did she come through it? These beautiful ancient women with no therapist, no prescription, no online counseling, women who simply had to say, as Jeremiah said in Jeremiah 17, God, pick up the pieces and put me back together again. And the first woman that we're going to be looking at is, of course, Eve. The first woman to ever be mentioned in the Bible. Her story can be found in Genesis 3. And she's the first woman who's ever mentioned in the Bible. And she was created in absolute perfection. I mean, can you imagine? She was without spot or blemish, roll or mole, just absolute perfection. And yet she was still not satisfied. There was something in her that wanted more than she had. The downfall of Eve is the downfall of so many of us. It's when we desire to have more and it blinds us from seeing what we already have now. The truth was, Eve had a whole garden to herself, a garden of lush beauty and pleasure, waterfalls and lily pads, flowers in bloom for the very first time, manicured gardens with soft green grass. It wasn't just Eve and her husband that were made perfect. Their surroundings were perfection too, untouched, unspoiled paradise. Eve ate of all the produce in the garden. She had the nuts and the seeds and the pulses, all the vegetation of the ground, vegetables, leaves, herbs, plants and fruits. She had the original whole food store at her fingertips. Orchards of trees with their branches hung so low because they were heavy laden with fruit. But of all of the hundreds of orchards she did have, there was one tree she did not have access to. And the desire for the one tree she could not have outdid her satisfaction for the fruit of 100 trees she could have. I think this resonates with many of us because we know there is something in our wiring that feels more normal to us to complain about what we don't have rather than to give thanks or appreciation for what we do have. When I read the whole story of Adam and Eve in the garden, I think to myself, how foolish was she? What was she thinking? She so messed it up for the rest of us. I would never behave like that. I mean, as if I would long for something that God had told me I couldn't have. I mean, as if I would talk to a snake, as if I would disobey my husband, as if I would break the rules, as if I would overstep the boundaries that God had given me, as if I would ever do any of those things. Eve, what is wrong with you? But the truth is, I probably would. And you know why? Because I'm a woman. And the makeup of me is no different to the makeup of Eve. We just happen to be doing life in different time periods under different settings on the earth. And what is the same for Eve as it is for me also is that we have the same God, we face the same enemy, and we have the same DNA as a woman. Eve was deceived into believing a lie. The same lie that we fall for today, that if she could have the one thing she did not have, life would be so much better. I mean, how often have you had those thoughts? If I just had more money or more opportunity or a different husband, if I just had their kids instead of mine, or a bigger house or a better job, or those shoes or that bag, and the list goes on and on and on. And we convince ourselves that my life would be complete, that I would be satisfied if I just had that one thing. I would never ask for anything else again. Well, I've got news for you, girlfriend. Yes, you would. Because the desire for more is like an insatiable appetite. The feeling you get from getting always wants feeding with more. How do I know this? Because Eve had everything and everything was perfect. There was no lack and no deficit. There was nothing she had to work towards or get better at. God had already blessed her life with the best of everything, and yet she still wanted more. And so her attention was turned from the one thing she did not have, which was the fruit from a certain tree in the garden. A tree that God had said, it's not for you to touch. A tree that he actually wanted to protect her from because its fruit was not designed for mankind. The tree was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God's note to Eve was actually his protection towards her. You see, when God made mankind, we were not designed to carry the weight or the knowledge of wrong. We were not designed to carry depression or experience sin or feel shame or carry guilt or feel fear or experience anything like rejection. And God knew that if she ate of that fruit, she would have a revelation of sin and she would be exposed to all of those things and she would feel the weight of shame. So his no to her was a healthy boundary. But when you allow your desires to overpower his word, it becomes the undoing of you. God said no out of protection, but Eve perceived his no as a rejection. And sometimes I think I'm not too dissimilar to Eve, because it's easy to fall into the trap of negativity and complain about life's difficulty and how much better it would be if only I had ... You fill in your own blank: the car, the house, the money, the man, the holiday. But I want to encourage you today with this story of Eve. Think about your life placement. Sometimes we're not where we want to be in life, or we haven't got the things we want in life because God, in his infinite wisdom, knows either it's not the right time for us or it's not right for us. And sometimes we don't have what we want because it's God's protection. And other times we don't have what we want because it's not God's timing. Maybe the relationship that you're desiring is going to take you out of relationship with him. Maybe the house that you're wanting is going to put you in a debt that's too great for you to handle. Maybe the promotion you're after is going to take your life in a direction that he hasn't planned for you. So consider where you are today. Be grateful for what you have. Thank him for the people around you, the job, the home, your church, your friends, and enjoy the fruit of what you do have today. And if you find yourself desiring more, take it to him in prayer. Allow him to speak into that desire. Scripture tells us that he wants to give you the desires of your heart. You just need to know that the things of your heart, the things your heart desires, are from him and not out of a selfish motive. Don't make the same mistake as Eve, listening to the wrong advice and trying to make things happen your own way. God is a God of love. He wants to see your life improve, grow, and succeed. Eve's impulsive desire broke her relationship with God, so let that not be your story. Ask God for discernment. Is this something you want me to have in my life? Should I be pursuing this person or this thing or this opportunity? Or if this is not your will, Lord, please take the desire away from me. And I personally have found that the more that I express gratitude for what I do have in my life, the more I find he brings other things into my life. Hold on to this lesson from Eve, because I promise you there is an Eve hiding in all of us. I hope this podcast has helped and strengthened you in some way today. Thank you for listening to Braveheart Talks. You can like, subscribe, and share this message with your friends. And hey, join us next week as we delve into the life of another woman from the Bible and discover the way she thinks and the way she behaves could very easily be me.